You're listening to the Talkative Introvert podcast. Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa, and I am your host of the Talkative Introvert podcast. If you're new here, thanks for checking us out, and I hope you like what you hear and stick around for more. If you're not new here, welcome back. In today's episode, I'll actually be chatting with CP. He is the creator and founder of String, XTRING, that's how it's spelled out, which is a clothing line whose ultimate mission is to help their customers elevate their confidence through style. So, CP, you and I met originally because you were going to start a podcast, actually, and we already had a conversation before that was, if I remember correctly, it was like all about fashion, and originally you started the clothing line specifically catered towards like introverts. But I see, I've been like looking at your website and following you on Instagram, but I see that's grown to be more than that, kind of like my podcast where it's grown to be more than just topics around introversion. So, how's it going? How's your line?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on your show. Yeah, it's been a fun journey. I think in about a few days it'll be my 1 year since I launched my brand. So obviously, it's kind of a bittersweet type of hold on, getting a call here. Sorry. Yeah, so it's been a fun journey. Learned a lot throughout the whole, the first year into the business. Learned a lot about e-com, sourcing, logistics, marketing, like you name it, whatever you think that goes behind building a business or a brand. Like I've learned so much about how to just, not focus on the short term, but more like build for something long term. So obviously, you may not see results in the beginning, but eventually, like once you stay on top of what you need to do, eventually things will work out the way you hope for it to be. So, but yeah, it's been fun. I like the whole ecom. I'm learning a lot about, it may seem easy, but it's really not if you're trying to build a brand, and that's the best part of it, I would say.
Yeah, and I saw that you started adding more like items to your line too, because when we first talked, you just had the what did you call it? It's not like a
The
shirt
t-shirt hoodies,
necessarily.
yeah, the t-shirt hoodies, yeah, yeah. So my plan is to do like a seasonal drop almost. So obviously, I started off with the design that I had going into the business, and then for the summer, spring, I figured that not everybody would maybe want to lean more towards wearing t-shirt hoodies in the hot weather. So I'm like, maybe some tees and shorts, hats might add just more to the brand, and gives more options to the buyers or the visitors to look at. So, and I'm doing the same for the fall and winter season coming up, right? I have a whole collection designed for that. And then, probably just go through the same cycle every year, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, because I remember when we had our conversation, it was like middle of summer, over 100 degrees in
Yeah.
Sacramento. And I was like, I don't know if I want to wear this t-shirt hoodie right now, but
Yeah.
I still have it and I actually still wear it. It's been holding
Yeah, no, I
on. So
appreciate that. Yeah, no, thanks for always repping the brand. I mean, that's you want your buyers or the fans to actually wear them. And going into it, I knew that looking at like just not knowing more about the clothing itself and just looking at it, people might think that, oh, you can't really wear something like this in the weather, like a hot summer day, or but I going while I was actually when I was working on getting the samples, the fabric and everything about that item, I made sure that I built something that could be worn all year round. Again, not everyone's going to agree with me, which is fine, but I myself, I recently moved to Texas a few months ago, and the one
oh,
thing
okay.
you need to know about Texas, like, well, my first summer, and it was like 100 degrees for like 2 or 3 months straight. Like there was
It's
like
humid.
yeah, it's humid, yeah. So, and I was still able to wear and like felt like I was able to breathe in it, right? Like only because of
Hmm.
the fabric that I've selected for it. But again, not everyone's gonna go for it. But I mean, that was the picture that I was trying to, or I'm still trying to sell. That it's something that could be worn all year round, depending on your own personal choices, I guess, when it comes to clothing.
Yeah, I will say it's very cool to the touch. Like I don't have I don't think I have anything that like feels like it. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's something different. Again, like I said, it was again started with an idea that I was looking for something similar to that for myself, and then just kind of I was like, hey, I'm not finding anything, so why not give it a try? And then yeah, that's how it kind of all started. So hoping
Yeah.
that it'll go somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so like I said earlier, this originally started because you were kind of trying to cater towards introverts. So
hmm
I wanted to ask, as a fellow introvert, why did you think fashion was so important?
I think it's one of those things where being an introvert, you have your insecurities, you have all these thoughts and anxieties in your head, right? But I think one thing that actually does help, and this is not just for introverted people. I think it's for like a much larger audience as well. It's like you can, when you focus on things you can control, I think life becomes much easier. So like when it comes to style, it all depends on you, how you dress yourself and how you look, right? So if you're able to make that as part of the change that you're looking for yourself, and try something new, different colors, different cuts or patterns, I think it helps you kind of you know re-identify yourself. Like I don't know if that's the right word I use for it, but I think it helps you become more comfortable in your own skin, and like just feel good about yourself overall, especially when you're out in public, when you're meeting people or just around people. Even if you're not meeting people, but if you're just surrounded by people, you actually feel good about what you're wearing. And maybe in the process you might get one or two compliments from people, and that just kind of boosts your confidence overall. So I think when you look at fashion or style, like I look at more than just like a piece of clothing, right? Like it has this, it puts you in this mindset of feeling good about yourself that can actually take you a lot further than you think. Like you do better in other areas of life, whether it be at work, at home, trying something new, out socializing, whatever it may be.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. You said something. You said focus on the things you can control.
Right.
And I love that because that's so accurate that, you should focus on the things you can control. Cause I feel like in this day and age with like social media and everyone getting BBLs, like,
Yeah.
plastic surgery, like, clothing is a way to still look good and feel good in your skin without changing your skin,
Right,
you know?
exactly. And especially when you talk about social media, right? I mean, one way or another, social media has a lot of influence on us, right? Whether you be at work, at home, just go on your phone, or if you're searching for something and something else pops up and you kind of get dragged into that direction. So I think it's about the content that we consume and what effect it would have on us, right? And it could be good or bad, right? So I think me personally, especially what I've learned in my 1 year being in the business, is that I can focus on a lot of the things that number one hasn't happened, and things that have already happened. Right? It's all it comes down to what can you do today, what's within your control, and what can you accomplish. Right? And that's what I've been working through, like myself, like in that first year of business. Like I mean, there's always times where I stress about things that hasn't even happened, because like I'm deep into my thoughts, and now I'm thinking all the worst thing that can possibly happen in the next coming months. And then I take a step back and I was like, well, why am I doing that? Because it's not helping me focus on my business, or even like just concentrate on things that I need to concentrate on. So I think I'm still teaching myself to just focus on things that I can control and just keep moving forward, like one step at a time.
Yeah, and that's definitely a work in progress for me too. Like I stress easily and I overthink all the time and I have to remember like, you can't control everything. You can't. It's just impossible.
I think a lot of us are like that. I don't think it's just like one or two people. I think majority of the people are like that, because you always assume the worst. Because I get that you want to be prepared for the worst, but I think you can't live like that on a day to day. Like you have to be upbeat, like be more focused or excited about things that you're pursuing, and just stay focused on that, and good things will happen. A lot of bad things will happen, but that one good thing will be way better than all the bad things that have happened to you so far. So that's just how I look at it.
Yeah, I think people need to remember that it's okay and sometimes necessary to fail or make mistakes,
Yeah.
because when you make that mistake, you're going to remember that and you're going to, always do better or try to do better.
Yeah, I mean, you can succeed without failing, right? I mean, if you didn't fail at anything, then what are you going to succeed at? So, I mean, and failure is part of everything you do. So, as long as you're taking all the good things that come out of it and putting that into play, like with whatever next thing you're doing, I think things will happen. I don't know when, but it will if you just stay on track and keep doing the things you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So for like back to your clothing, so what's your style? Can you describe to the audience what that is?
My style, I think, well, ever since getting into the business, or actually since I started working on my business, I think I like doing different or like wearing different than what everyone does, right? And that's kind of like that's pretty similar to what my brand mission is, right? Like try to separate yourself, not isolate, but try to stand out in wherever you are in the crowded place, right? So I think my personal style would be something different that you don't see people normally wear. Now that doesn't mean that I'm gonna go all out and wear something like really ridiculous. Obviously, like I mean, we've seen all type of ridiculous stuff on the TV, internet. So like, there's no end to how you can dress yourself. But I think for me, it's like that like elegance that you look for in clothing that but at the same time the comfort that comes with it, like that's kind of like my main focus, something different but comfortable at the same time. And I think through my clothing brand, I mean, whatever designs that I come up with or whatever words that I print on my items, like the especially for my summer collection and my fall winter collection, there's stuff that you see on the shirt itself. It's either what I believe in or what I want to or that's how I want to style myself with whatever I wear. So again, I think it's something that I've figured out on my own as to how I want to be seen, and I think that's what my clothing brand is going to reflect. And hopefully other people will see the same in the or like the same message in my brand that I'm trying to spread. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very comfortable. I will
Thank
say
you.
that.
Yeah.
It is very comfortable and I like how minimal it is. I'm not a big, I mean, everyone teach their own, but I'm not a big fan of like the giant outlandish like giant Gucci or giant, like
Yeah.
brand name or something on your shirt.
Yeah, I mean, thing with like, I've never been a brand person per se. Like, I've never gone out and bought like something really expensive that I would just wear for like a day or two and then be like, okay, I want to preserve this thing because like it cost me a lot of money. Like, I was never that person. And, even going into my business, I was like, I want to do designs. I might do graphic designs as well, but I want to be as minimum as possible. Like, minimum, I think less is always better, and I
Mhm.
think that goes for a lot of things. So when it comes to like designing my stuff, like I try to make sure that it's just enough to convey the message, and I'm not overdoing it. So like when people look at the first sight, they don't think they're seeing 10 different things on my shirt. Like it's one thing, it's direct to the message, and that's pretty much it.
I think it's very similar to like bringing it back to like introversion, like most people who are introverts don't typically like the super loud, t-shirts or clothes,
Right.
and a very simple, not necessarily like center of attention, but it's still a statement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've never been the person to try to steal the spotlight from anyone or be the center of attraction, right? Attention. But for me,
Hmm.
it was more about like at times when I do want to like talk to people or I do want to be involved in something, right? Like that's where I lacked confidence in the past. And I think over time, like that's something that I worked on a lot, and I still have a lot of work to do. But I think just dressing of differently, like I've noticed people actually ask me questions, like come up to me and be like, "Oh, look, I really like your shirt. They match your sneakers," or this design is pretty cool. Like so, like when people come up to you and say these things, like you feel good about yourself. I mean, again, I don't go out to get compliments from people per se, but it's just like when I'm in when I'm in public and when people come up to me like that, like it makes me feel more involved with them, like makes me feel like I belong there, because that's what I essentially want, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and it's I remember I posted this one video a few months ago about and at the time I was talking about introverted people and with their style and how it can help them to feel more confident, have conversations with people and whatnot. And I remember I got a comment from someone saying that people need to stop identifying introverts as like antisocial or something along those lines, and just give them space. And I was like, I'm all for it. I'm not dragging anyone out of their personal space. This is my message was for those who actually are looking to kind of work on those things like self-confidence and like be able to communicate with people or not have any anxieties being around people. Like that's who I was actually directing my message towards. So so yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm going with my clothing. And like being an introvert, I think firsthand, like I can definitely relate to some of the struggles, and I think that's why it's okay for me to talk about it, because I have gone through it myself, and I'm not just kind of making stuff up just to like
Yeah.
sell it to people.
Yeah, because to that person's point, like, yeah, it's not a one to one. Not all introverts are
Right.
insecure. Not all of them are shy, and not all of them are antisocial. But you do still have to recognize that a majority of them like don't typically like talking to people or have a hard time talking to people. And if fashion's your thing and you have like a statement piece, that's something you guys can relate on to talk about. Like it kind of reminds me of my cousin. So my cousin, I don't think he is anymore, or I don't know what if he's still into it, but he was like a huge sneakerhead,
Hmm.
and one of his favorite things about having the shoes, because he is the type of person who actually wore them. It wasn't just like up on his wall or like collecting it. He would actually wear the shoes. And his favorite thing was like someone coming up and talking about the shoes, and then they get to talk about that because it's a subject
Right.
that they both, like, and something that they can actually have a conversation on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and again, it's about things you like and enjoy. Like for me, I can't even. I'm not gonna go out and tell people, "Hey, change your style because you need this." Right.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it comes down to what the person wants to do, right? Like if they actually are looking to make that change, or they're not sure about what their fashion is like, or should they be wearing different colors or trying different colors? Like it's for them, right? Like I'm sure a lot of people, not everyone's going to agree with what I'm saying or what I'm trying to sell, but I'm sure there are people just like myself who actually do look at style the way I do, or probably want to make that change that I've been making over the past like a couple of years, but just don't know where to start. Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I want to come in and be like, hey, let me guide you through this. I'm not always about selling people, but it's more about giving value. And if that just means that, oh, let's just have a conversation, I'm open to it. Like for me, I'm not always gonna be pushing sales on people. Like I don't do that.
Yeah. I noticed that on your website that on top of selling clothes, you also do blogs.
Yeah, I do blog posts. Like I talk about like obviously the fabric and everything about clothing and how it relates to like comfort, and at the same time like how style and confidence kind of go hand in hand. So there's few blog posts that I've made on my website. I'm actually working on redoing my website right now, so I haven't posted any recent like new blogs on there. Hopefully, I'll get that done before I do my fall winter launch. But yeah, once I get the new website up and running, I'll be adding more articles and more blog posts about just talking about style, confidence, and entrepreneurship is like the new kind of rebranding that I'm doing around my clothing brand, kind of niche down my audience even more. And yeah, that's we'll see how that goes though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to do a blog too for mine, but I just don't have the time. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's become much easier with the AI tools. Obviously, like I also don't think that I would have time to like just sit there and type out blogs for like that long. So I think what I do is I get my thoughts together and put it all into a tool, and just see what AI tool comes up with, right? Because it saves me a lot of time, and also it's direct to the message. Like it's kind of like exactly what I'm trying to say, and it's like someone's doing it for me. So why not make the most out of it?
that's interesting. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of emails because I get like a lot of podcast emails.
Hmm.
And they're constantly introducing like AI related tools, but I just haven't tried it out yet because I don't know. It just because I'm like, I don't know. Like, does it actually work? Do people actually use this? Like, how well can they actually convey my thoughts, you know?
Well, yeah. So I think when, so I don't know how. Again, I haven't really looked into much into like what podcast tools are out there, but I think I've seen videos of how it can help like edit podcasts and like remove those filler words and like things that you don't essentially need in a video or like the audio that you're posting. Which I think is pretty cool. I think it saves you a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time and effort into having to go back and forth, trying to edit everything and make it smooth. But I guess in terms of content, right? I think content, the ideas or whatever the thoughts are, they actually have to come from you, and the tool is just more of like an aid that helps you kind of write out whatever that you're thinking. So it all depends on what type of prompts that you put in, and it'll throw out whatever that you ask the tool to do for you.
Okay. Yeah, because so I use Buzzsprout to host my podcast,
Hmm.
and they're I think they already launched it, but there's like an AI tool that listens to your podcast and essentially does like the transcription, and they create like the show notes for you, and they like come up with titles for you and all that stuff. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it out. I don't know if it costs money or not, but it's interesting. Like I wonder how well it would do. Like if I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's something. Right? So string is like a side project or like a something you do on the side though, but you still work full time at your other
Yeah,
job.
so I work in cybersecurity full time.
Oh,
That's
nice.
that's essentially what's paying the bills, to be very honest, right? So,
Hmm.
but whatever that I'm able to, I'm pumping it into the clothing brand and trying to build that business eventually. I mean, the goal here is to eventually transition full time into like the business. But
Hmm.
I also want to be smart about it and not just kind of rush into it without even knowing if it's something that's going to provide what I need at the moment. So I'm trying to balance it out, and so far it's been working pretty good. So can't complain.
Yeah. What do you want the future string to look like? Like, are you going to venture out to other products outside of clothing or, accessories or?
Yeah, I mean, I so for me, obviously the string is what I want to focus on, right? The clothing aspect of it, but yeah, accessories is part of it. I mean, I know I dropped some hats for the summer for this upcoming season. I'm doing some beanies and like socks. It's something very unique, like a design that I have, and eventually like venture out to more like accessories. But obviously, clothing being the main focus of the brand, accessories is just like an add-on or an upsell,
Mhm.
you can call it. And yeah, see how things go, because I also don't want to get distracted or get pulled into so much into like accessories or jewelry that I'm not able to focus on the clothing side of the business that much.
Mhm.
So I'm taking it slow, and again, if there's a demand for something, then sure, why not do it, right? But if not, then I think I want to stay on the track that I'm on, and just go from there.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense, if you do too much, it's like quantity over quality, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely about quality, so I want to make sure that whatever that I'm putting out is actually good enough for someone to keep it for a long time, and I'm not just selling something for like to wear it like once or twice and then throw it out. Like I've seen a lot of brands, like a lot of stuff happen to me personally, and I don't want to be that brand. I don't want to be known
Yeah.
for that type of clothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it becomes more about like the money than
Yeah.
the quality
Exactly.
of the design and
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. I am glad that you have that mindset. It does suck to see when people like not just clothing but like just in general and people get too big or get too much money like it goes to their head and it changes a person sometimes.
Yeah, no, you always have to humble yourself, right? I mean, I wish the best for everyone out there that's doing e-com or any other business, and whoever's making all the money. But at the end of the day, like if you're gonna not provide the same quality, eventually your customers are gonna fall out. Like they're not gonna come back to you. They might come back to you maybe once or twice after that, but eventually over the long period of time, like those customers will go away to someone now who's offering something better, maybe for the same price point that they're selling at. And so I think that whole customer experience is obviously, it's very important to any business for that matter. And that whole experience comes from having a good website, having a good process in place on the back end, so your customers are receiving the products on time, and essentially the quality of the product that you're making. That's what's going to keep your customers to you. Yeah.
Yeah. I 100% believe that. Like, I know there's a lot of cheap fashion and there's a lot of, that kind of stuff going on. And I understand, like, for people who can't afford higher quality or higher whatever. But, if you do have a quality product and you focus on that and don't change the quality, I think you're going to have returning customers because they value that.
Yeah, and I think those customers will come back to you. Like for like you said, like there's cheap clothing out there, right? Those are more like trendy items. So like people who just want to wear it for like maybe 1 or 2 months because that's what the trend is, or like that season, they'll go for those type of items. But like those who actually like good quality or prefer comfort over just trendy product, and if you're that brand who's offering that, then they will come back to you regardless of what time of the year or what trend is going on outside of
Hmm.
that, right? So, and I don't want to be known as a trend, right? Like I don't want my brand to be known as like, oh, this is just another, one of those brands that comes out with new items every 2 weeks or every month, but then their product isn't that good quality that they can actually hold on to something like that. So I try to, that's why I'm taking it slow, which I'm okay with, because I know what my
Yeah.
ultimate goal is and how I want to build a brand.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I'm trying to think of a good example. Oh, like Levi's, right? Like the
Yeah.
Levi's jeans, they've been making jeans forever and they're just good classic jeans and they
Yeah.
even have like I knew know there's like a flannel that I had or that my husband has, and he's had it for years, and it's the same flannel for years, and it's durable and it's a great style, and it doesn't go out of style either,
Right.
and you can go back to like the Levi store and still get that same flannel because it's just, it's
Yeah, because
quality.
I've had Levi's, I've had shirts and jeans that I bought like many, many years ago. I mean, recently I found a shirt that I bought in like 2011 or 12. Surprisingly, it still fits me, but like the reason why it lasted so long is because, well, the quality of it was really good, right? So if it was just made with some whatever cheap material that they found in the market at the time, it wouldn't have lasted that long, even though I must have worn like maybe what, like 4 or 5 times. I have seen stuff go, like I have thrown out stuff like after wearing it like maybe once or twice, because like I thought it would look cool on the website, like on the internet. I thought it would something I would really enjoy wearing, and next thing you know, like I had to throw it out because it just didn't do well after washing it maybe once or twice. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it's very, it's, and this fast fashion or fast paced
Yeah.
fashion industry, it's like I want to stay away from it because first of all, I cannot keep up with that many designs and trends, and
Yeah.
it's just not something that I had in mind going into the business. So I'm definitely not going to be one of those brands.
Yeah. I definitely, fell into that hole at some point, but like was it called Shein or
Yeah.
whatever those like companies are, and on a budget, great, especially if you need something soon and something for like a special occasion, sure. But man, I don't think any of the stuff that I actually got there really lasted that
Yeah,
long.
and I think, well, that's just one, and they're actually, and I don't want to take put say put any names on the show here, but there are brands that actually are, that you probably shop at, and I've had gotten their stuff and it didn't last me for maybe, it didn't even last me for like I don't know, like 2 months or like a month and a half. So
Hmm.
it's not just those, like the one that you named, but it's, there are other brands do that too. Because again, they're trying to like just put stuff out there, kind of
Yeah.
get it off the shelf, and then move on to the next thing. And I was like, well, I don't know if I like that type of thing, right? Like if I buy something, I want to keep it for some time. Like I want to be able to wear like at least for a few months. So like, I feel like I got my money's worth, or I actually like I got to wear what I actually liked and what I bought, right? And so
Mhm.
I stay away from those brands. Like they're only handpicked there are only few brands out there that I really go outside. Not well, now it's mostly my stuff that I wear, but if I had to, then there's only like a maybe few couple brands that I shop from, and because their stuff lasts for a whole lot more than other brands.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely get that. I'm kind of trying to figure out like what I do like and what is worth getting. And, whenever I find something I really love and it's durable and it's quality, sometimes I'll get multiples of that one just
Right.
so that I can have that. And I
Yeah.
think for your clothes, I think it's awesome that it is so minimalistic because, it's not something that's just going to go away.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like kind of going back to like the jeans and flannel. Like that's been in fashion forever. I don't think it's ever going to go away. It's just like a classic thing. I feel like, your clothes, it's it's not so outlandish or so like crazy or anything like that where it's like it's cool now but won't be cool like maybe in a few months.
Right, yeah, and again, like I said earlier, the less is always better, and I personally don't like stuff that actually screams at me, or at least I don't like looking at things that screams at me. So I'm not gonna sell something that I don't like it myself.
Mhm.
And I've had people tell me like, "Hey, like this is how you grab customers, like this is how you get people into your brand." But I was like, if I'm gonna you go that route and try to bring people into my store by selling designs that number one, I don't even know if I want to sell something like that. But number two, even if I did and they did come in and then eventually in the future, now I change my whole entire store to like a different style. Those customers are gonna not gonna like it because now they're used to seeing the stuff that they bought from me earlier, but not the original designs like the t-shirt hoodies and like other ideas that I have. Like that's nothing that doesn't even come anywhere close to what I actually sold them in the beginning. So like I think that would just kind of um, you know I don't know what type of brand identity that would create for people, but I didn't want to go that route. I was like, I think you guys are doing too much, and or at least you're asking me to do too much and things that I don't even think that I want to put myself through. So I just had to just kind of stay away from the whole design graphic tees and hoodies and all that idea. And I was like, I'm going to stick to what I want, what I know and what I want to do, because that's the vision that I have for my brand. And I'll just move forward with that.
So how do you feel about like kind of like high fashion stuff or like because there's two different I feel like there's different kinds of fashion, right? There's ones like you would wear, it's something that the average person would wear, something that you feel good about, like in your skin and whatever. But there's kind of like the artsy side of it, right? Like fashion week and stuff like that. And I would never wear it, but I appreciate the art. So like how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, like fashion. Well, thing with fashion is that it's very seasonal in the sense where it changes frequently, right? When you talk about fashion, right? Versus style is something like you hold on to because that's your own true identity, basically, right? Because the way
Okay.
you get known for how you dress, right? Like if someone were to name me a person that I know, I will know exactly how they would come out dressed on an occasion or whatever, like even like just a happy hour, right? So I
Hmm.
think those who have those who loved like the fashion and the artistic side of it, it's okay being that person, but you have to know like with that, it's like you have to keep up with a lot of changes that happen so frequently, like the trends, like I talk about, right? versus like the style is like something that's unique to you and you want to that's the person you want to be. Now that's not to say that if you were to go to an event or something like that, you try a different gown or a different dress or a different suit. No, that's completely different, right? But if you're talking about a day to day, I mean, do you rather want to be dressed up on a day to day, or would you rather have like your own unique way of you dressing on a day to day versus just wearing something different on special days? So it depends on how you look at style or fashion and whatever makes more sense to you.
Yeah. That makes sense. I feel like there's people who just absolutely love it. They're all about the trends. They love trying out new things, and they're very expressive about, what they like to wear. But I feel like I'm more like you. Like, like I feel it's so anxiety inducing to be constantly aware and knowing like what's in right now and what I need to like get rid of or, not wear anymore or something like that.
I'm sure we all get this marketing emails from different clothing brands, and like there are brands out there who I get emails from, and I just get those emails or I'm subscribed to them just to like see how they're doing, like their business. And it's so mind numbing that they have something new every day. And I was like, how do you like me as a buyer or like me as a customer of theirs? Like, how do you expect me to just keep up with all the changes that you bring in or all the new items that you bring in into the stores? Like, I don't even have that much time to go out and to wear those things if I were to buy all those items from them. But it just, I'm just like, how does a regular person actually shop from them? And who I'm not saying that every person has to shop or like every person actually does buy from them every time you get an email from them. But I'm just like, man, like me as a buyer or like me as their existing customer, like I don't know how I would be able to just keep up with all the new items they keep bringing into the stores like every week, every 2 weeks. Like it just so frustrating. I mean, not frustrating, but I just don't think I can keep up with it.
Yeah, there's no way. Like you have to be really into it and it has to be something that you're passionate about. But to me it's just like it's too much. And like kind of like you said, like I don't even go out really. Like I
Yeah,
don't have nowhere to like wear these clothes, but I do I, what's it called? Um I appreciate the art, because fashion is art.
it
It
is.
is an art form. Um, and so it is fascinating. Like I do love like the visuals and like like growing up, I loved, what's it called? Is it America's Top Model or something? Next Top Model, whatever, with Tyra
America's
Banks.
Next one. Yeah, yeah, okay, I know what
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah. And I love like the fashion and like all that stuff, but that's more like creating art versus what you wear day to day.
right. Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
yeah, exactly. No, I get it. I mean, I think those who create those like fashion items and like the whole fashion industry, it's like I don't think I can think that creatively when it comes to clothing. Like I know what I can do and can do, and that's something I definitely can do because it's not my thing. I've never taken any interest in it, but yeah, like I said, no, those who actually do it, I have like like I'm like they're very unique people. Like they think differently. Obviously they're very creative in the way they do it, so I think that in itself is a lot of respect to them because I don't think a normal person can sit there and draw something out and actually make it happen. So I think you need a whole different kind of thinking on that side of the business, which I don't have, and so therefore I would never get into anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's impressive what people can come up with and like the
Yeah.
different designs and all that. But I did like what you were saying earlier. You said something about like style versus fashion,
Hmm.
where you're trying to create who you
Right.
are.
Right.
Yeah, through your clothing. And I think that's something I want to strive for because well,
Yeah,
I
because
think it's just because like I started working from home, so I just don't have any style right now. Like it's just
I
leggings.
think what ends up happening is that again, this is where social media comes in, right? Like you look at all the trends that go on, and whether not just like any trend, right? I mean, it could be any trend, not just the clothing, but like we try to become a part of it, and then that's where we get lost, right? Because like you may not be the person that you see in the video of someone else doing something, right? So I think the same goes with your clothing as well. Like just because it looks cool or it looks better on that person in the video doesn't necessarily mean that it'll look good on me or you, right? Like it's about what looks good on you and what you feel more comfortable wearing. Like you don't I don't chase people, I don't chase trends and gone out and bought anything. Like I've never done that before. I've never gone out and bought something because it was like the hottest thing on social media. Like I've never done that before. And I think
Mhm.
that's where it comes in. Like you have to first find yourself and understand what is it that you like and what is it that you don't like, and the things that you don't like, try and make it start making little changes to your, maybe like I said, colors, accessories, fits, cuts, whatever it is, and see what you like the best, and just go from there. And when time comes, there's always room for more change. It's not like you have to stay with that one type of style. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunities for you to make the changes that you want, but at least you won't have to make a change 2 months from now.
Yeah.
so so I think that's what ends up happening with this trend, and I think that's where people get the most confused about like what to wear and what to go shop for.
Yeah. And I think you made a good point earlier about how, the what does what you're wearing makes you feel, like,
Right.
cuz can tell you like, "Oh, that looks good on you," or, that, "Oh, that makes you look pretty," or makes you look this and that or whatever. But if you don't feel it, then it's not going to work, like you have to feel it. Cuz it's
Right.
not going to boost your confidence just because somebody else thinks you look good in it.
Of course. Yeah. And I hope, like, that's like one of the, like, I know it may not be like the direct kind of message to my brand, but I hope that I'm able to spread that amongst people too. Like, it's not just about selling the clothes to them. I think it's about like, hey, does this make sense for you? Like, is this something you see yourself wearing, right? Like, and if so, then go for it. But if not, then it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the time. Like, I'm sure you'll find something else in the market that better fits you or suits you. So there's, as long as you're being open minded about it, I'm sure that you will definitely find something for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. It's a very broad, like, industry.
It's a big market. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that now, being in it for almost a year now. I know it's a really big market, and you'll almost find anything that you're probably thinking of right now. I'm sure there's someone that's making it,
Yeah.
and if not, then, well, there's your opportunity to make something. But
Yeah.
that's a different story.
So, are you still planning on doing a podcast or not anymore?
Yeah, it's, I thought about it. I had you on that show, and then I think I spoke with another person. And what I've realized is that starting the business and trying to do that and work was a bit too much. Like, it was a big
Mhm.
commitment to make, because like podcasts, it takes a lot of time to just for people to even find you. Even though as
Mhm.
many people are doing, like, there are so many people right now doing it, like especially entrepreneurs and, like, coaches and people providing value to others. But I'm just like, man, it's a big commitment. It's like a lot of kind of time that goes into recording, editing, putting it on the platforms and stuff like that. So I was like, I'd rather stick to like the short form content that I've been creating of me just talking, but like that doesn't take up too much of my time. And it's
Mhm.
easy for me to just edit from my phone and post it on social media, and it's all done within like a few minutes. Versus what we're doing right now, like, I'm sure you're gonna take this recording, go do some editing, then try to create content with it. And I'm just like, I don't think I want to do that at this point in time. Maybe in the future, when I'm able to free up some of my time by, delegating a lot of the work that because I basically wear all the hats right now in the business. So once I'm able to kind of free up my time by, just getting rid of some of the things that I completely hate doing, like marketing and running ads and all that stuff, like I hate it so much, but it's just something I have to do. Then I might think about going back and starting something up. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll just see how that goes. Yeah.
Totally understandable. Like right now I got 3 episodes I still need to edit. But I also, have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So it's definitely hard. It's definitely it's a commitment for sure. Like if I didn't like it so much, I probably wouldn't be doing it still.
Yeah, no, I think it's very cool to have a podcast. I think it helps bring people together in a way, in a weird way.
Mhm.
Like when
Yeah.
someone finds you and they want to come talk to you, now you have their audience listening to your podcast because you had them on theirs, and now those people, their listeners, might be feel like they can relate to some of the things that you talk about. So I think it's a really good way to like bring people together and put out your message that you're trying to put out. But yeah, like everything, like everything else, it requires a lot of work and a commitment and discipline, and it's just something I just don't want to half-ass it, at least right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I do know how to get started, so that's really good. It's just a matter of when I will be able to put in that or commit that time towards it, and it'll happen eventually in the future, but nowhere near for now.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you going on my podcast.
Yeah,
I enjoyed our last conversation, and I was really excited because you were one of the first few people who contacted me who wasn't just like trying to promote something.
yeah.
Like most of a lot of my guests like from last season or from Podmatch, and they're trying to promote something, but you're one of like the first who are just like, hey, come on and have a conversation with me.
Yeah, I didn't think, and again, that's what it is, right? Like people will buy from you if they believe in you, and like if they see like some sort of value in you, right? So like for me, like I the idea of just reaching out to someone just to sell it to them, it just doesn't make sense because you'll yeah maybe you'll get a sale out of it, but did you really benefit from it? Like, did you build a relationship? Like maybe it could have gone somewhere else if you had just given it more time. Maybe that person could have like introduced you to someone that you probably would never get to now because you just were chasing sales. And so it's like for me it's about building relationships, and again it's not
Hmm.
like, oh look, I came onto your show so now you owe me one or I owe you one, right? It's like you just do it because you just want to talk. Like for me it's like if I get on the show, like I just want to talk about what I do and what my brand is about and what the other person does, right? Like it's never about, hey, by the way, whoever's listening here, go buy a shirt from my website, or like like I just don't think that's the way to do anything. It's just
Yeah.
my opinion. Can you hit a pause real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
All right. So I think this is a good time to like, kind of share with folks, any last minute message, and also where can they find you, social media, website, whatever.
Yeah. So my social medias for the brand are xtring.shop. That's my website, my IG, my TikTok, Facebook. It's all the same. And I do have my personal IG as well. If anybody wants to follow me or come see what I'm up to, it's my first name, last name. We'll put that in the comments.
Yeah.
Hopefully, 'cause it's a bit long, but yeah, we'll put that in the comment for sure. And yeah, I mean, the only message, I guess, outside of what we just spoke about, it's just I'm sure there are times you feel defeated, and there are times where you think that you're not doing enough or you're not getting the results. And to that, all I can say is just keep going, just keep moving forward. You feel like you're not doing anything or it's not giving you the results, but I promise you that you are ahead of a lot of people who are actually not even trying. And good things will happen. Just don't give up. I mean, you went through whatever you went through to get to the point you are. What's the point of stopping? Because if you're just gonna quit, then there was no need for you to go through whatever you did, right? So yeah, that's my only message to the listeners. Yeah.
Yeah. Make your work worth it. Make the
Yeah,
hard work that you
exactly.
put in worth it.
It's
Yeah.
it's hard. I always tell people like it's if it was easy, then everyone would be doing it. But because it's
Hmm.
not, that's why you're actually going through what you're going through because it's meant to be that way. Nothing ever comes easy, and those who sell those things and courses and dreams online, don't go for it. Don't fall for it. There's no easy way to anything.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Perfect. I love that. I love that message. That's awesome. And again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I enjoyed our first conversation, and I'm really glad to have you back on for this one. And in the future, definitely reach out to me if you ever want to have another
yeah,
conversation
for
again.
sure. I'm always open to it, but yeah, no, I definitely will. I'm sure you have it's holiday season coming up, so I'm sure you have plans, other guests coming on your podcast. But yeah, we should definitely actually definitely catch up in the next few months and see how things are going.
Yeah. And I wish you the best. I wasn't lying. I do like your shirt, and I still
No,
wear it.
I
And
do.
it's
I
cool.
believe you. I don't think you were lying one bit. I definitely believe you. And thank you so much. No, I think this is like you have said that before too. Like you really like my product, and you said it today too. And I really appreciate that you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks. And like, everyone else, make sure to go check it out. It is good quality stuff. And if you're minimalistic, kind of like us, then I think you'd enjoy it.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, hopefully. Yeah.